Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today I've got Paul with me from Crawl Space Ninja of Delaware, and he got a very unique situation in Delaware. It's got an elevator that had a bunch of flooding. I'm going to have him walk us through how that process started and what he did to correct that. And Paul, I appreciate you coming on board. I know this is a bit of a unique situation, but I've been on a lot of beachfront properties that have elevators. So tell us why the homeowner called you and what you all did to take care of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So Paul Monroe, owner of Crawl Space Ninja, Delaware. We're here in Milton, based out of Millsboro. Work all around the beaches, into Maryland a little bit as well, entire state of Delaware. What we found in this instance, we got a call from one of the damaged restoration places, and they were looking for some help with a problem that they weren't able to solve themselves, or really find anybody else that was even willing to take an attempt to solve it. So what we had is we've got an elevator shaft that continued to flood. They pumped it out a number of times. 2 days later, it's filled with water every time. They couldn't figure out what's going on. But this elevator shaft is about 6 inches above the water table. So any little bit of rain, it's just coming up through the concrete, getting into the bottom of the shaft. It's a big, beautiful 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house, half a block off of the beach. And while there's not a ton of homes with elevators around here, a lot of those really nice houses at the beach have that in there. So what we were tasked to do is figure out a way to eliminate this water, not let it come back, to save the bottom components of the elevator that were rusting out from that occurring in the future without causing any sort of issues with the structural integrity of an elevator shaft. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation. None of the other crawl space companies would touch it. None of the elevator companies had a resource to even provide to the restoration folks for someone that might be able to fix it. Last year, we fixed a similar type issue in an elevator a little bit further away from the beach. Again, we try and find an approach to be able to do it without any sort of structural integrity issues in the shaft, because nobody wants you touching that concrete in there. So what we did in that instance was make a corrective action on the exterior, and we got the fix that we wanted there. It was very affordable for the folks. They were thrilled. It was one of the few times I actually had somebody at the end of the job say, "Is that all you want?" So that was great. But this one was a little bit more involved. So what we decided, sink a sump pump just outside of the elevator shaft on the exterior. We're down about 2 feet below grade, so we're lower than the top of the concrete in the elevator shaft. We did a tiny drain hole from the top of the concrete in the elevator shaft, ran that down, penetrated through the CMU wall and even through a little bit of the footer, got into our sump pump. So we had at that point a situation where even if water gets inside this elevator shaft, it's never going to be able to flood. It's not going to be able to rise. It's going to move on over to our sump pump. The other thing that we found is there was a downspout just outside of that wall that was dumping all the water off this really big roof right next to the shaft. So we're able to collect that water and again, route that into that sump pump as well. So at this point, we've greatly reduced the amount of water that's being put next to this wall. We've got a sump pump that's much lower than the surface of the concrete. So we feel pretty good about what we've done as far as reducing or eliminating how much water is going to get into the shaft. At that point, we had to go underneath of a sidewalk and then out to the edge of the property. So from that point, it was, a fancy long downspout extension. Got that all done. Came back a few days later after the elevator guys had kind of come in and moved some things around. And we effectively encapsulated the bottom of that elevator shaft. We've got some underlayment that's going to allow any moisture that does get in there to travel on over to our drain without raising the level at all. And then our vapor barrier on top of that so that nothing is going to make its way up to the metal of the elevator delivery system anymore. So we feel really good about what we did. The restoration company couldn't believe that we were able to get that done as quickly as we did. And again, we like those oddball kind of challenges. My operations manager has built houses from the ground up for 20 years. So he has got a tremendous background when it comes to all sorts of different construction capabilities. I'm a nuclear engineer by education, and I like to kind of find the challenging things that nobody else wants to do. So that's fun for us. It was a neat little job. And now there's the two primary elevator companies that are in the state both know that we are capable of waterproofing elevators. So hopefully it becomes more of a thing.
Well, two things I want to comment on. First of all, I love your hat.
Yes.
2023 Franchise of the Year. Congratulations. That was fantastic. The second thing I want to comment on, just so people understand, is you put the sump pump in the basin and the pit outside of the home. A lot of people with basements and crawl spaces that live in non-coastal areas don't realize that that's even a thing, right? Because you're all at sea level. So you've got to have that pump be able to pump it up and out, even though it's coming outside the house. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's been a couple of other situations that we've done exterior sump pumps. Obviously, if you have the ability to do an interior sump pump, most of the time we feel like that's the right solution. But in the instances where you just don't have that option, or there's a better process that you can kind of put in place with the exterior pump, we can use that. We had another issue where someone had had their driveway extended, and then they had a downspout that was kind of trapped within driveways, and it was dumping water back into a crawl space. We did the same deal, put a sump pump at the bottom of the downspout underneath of the sidewalk, and then took it on away. So you can use those things to move the water where you want to, and they can be quite effective on the exterior. And when we got done with this one, aside from the cord that had not yet been hidden, you couldn't even tell that it was there.
That's great. Well, I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja, here with Paul Monroe, the Crawl Space Ninja Franchise of the Year for 2023. Appreciate you sharing all that with us, and I hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.